Security, end-to-end, edge to core. F5's Rohit Andani there. Thanks, Rohit. Now, the conversations are ablaze over at social media on the hashtag for the India Cloud Summit. That's ICS21, and that is where all the action is for you to drop by. And our teams have some great giveaways that they have been giving away all morning and afternoon. ICS21, hashtag ICS21. That's where we are on social media. Now, we have the India Cloud Summit keynote session, and this is all about the new wave of digital disruption that we are experiencing, going cloud native. Suhas Mhaskar, CEO of Accent Technovation and formerly tech leader with the Mahindra Group, is joining us. He also consults and advises enterprises on IT strategy, execution, governance, and innovation-led transformation. And joining Mr. Mhaskar on this panel is D S Tripathi, MD and CEO of Aadhar Housing Finance Ltd. And prior to his current engagement, he was the President and Chief Operating Officer at DHFL. Gentlemen, over to you.
Thanks, Ashwin, and welcome, Mr. Tripathi. Nice to meet you for this Cloud Summit. So I know Aadhar is a large company, pan-India company, which is solving problem for small and underprivileged people who are looking for a roof on their head. And their aspirations is something that you are helping them achieve that. So can you just take us through a business, what exactly Aadhar is doing for these people?
Thank you, Suhas. Thank you. This Aadhar Housing Finance Company, actually it was established at a very right time when the government was planning that how we can provide houses to the large section of people. In India, actually, we know in 2010, hardly about 5% GDP penetration of the housing was there. Even after traveling 11 years, it is 10.3%. While China 18%, other countries 20, 25, 50%. So in India, 95% people, they are from economically weaker section and low income group. And largely the shortage was there for 95% people. So then many companies were opened and we were also opened. And and in that segment, actually, the most important is that majority of them are informal segment. If you see that urbanized population, about 65% working population is informal segment. In rural area, 90% are from informal segment. How to underwrite loans to them, that was a challenge, not only in India, across the globe. Across the globe, still they are struggling how to underwrite loan to the informal segment. But in India, companies like us, we have learned to how to assess cash flow, because every lending is repaying capacity based. We can't lend against the property. And then IFC was one of the company which was the investor in our company. And they wanted us to start from the low income states. This is the only company in India which started from UP, MP, Chhattisgarh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Odisha. Oh. Most of the housing finance companies, they started either from the progressive state or from their home state. But for us, the UP and MP were the first state to start. Having got a tough journey, we became very, very strong, because by learning for 4 years was very strong. And that's why we were giving loan to 6 lakh rupees, 7 lakh rupees to the taxi driver, vegetable vendor, fruit vendor, plumber, electrician, the guy who sells the book at the signal. All those customers, you think of any customer in this segment, they're our customers. And the journey which started in the beginning with tough became very resilient and strong for us. Today we operate out of 20 states. And we have 325 branches. Oh. Our sourcing location has now a split of 12,000. You move on any road, any small town, you will find one or two Aadhar Housing Finance people.
Excellent.
In that way, what we feel that we are providing house to those who are financially excluded. That's one thing. Business model is very simple. We give loan for the salaried segment, the far lower level of salaried people. We give loan to the business people. We give loan for buying house. And in India, about 60-65% people have their own individual house. Instead of the builder supply, what if we talk about the housing, actually that we talk about the builder-led housing. But more than 60% is the self-construction. So my customers of the companies of our type, most of the customers, they buy a small piece of land and they construct the house. And we give them loan and thereafter they keep on repaying this amount. So we give loan for buying the plot, we give loan for construction of the house, we give loan for buying a builder-led property, because small builder construct in some locations, and and we also give some small loan against property if they are doing business and they want to take loan against the house they already own. So that way we provide livelihood also to some extent, but more largely we provide the housing need of the customers. So that is the business model we work. Repayment every month, the EMI is fixed. We provide them the protection cover insurance also, because these segment customers, if they die, their family cannot afford to lose the house, or family cannot pay the installment. So we do not want to make them liable for that. So the insurance company pays the balance amount of the loan.
Okay.
So that way across the country our business process work in that fashion.
Excellent. So you mentioned about 300 branches, right? So how does the network of 300 branches connect? Is there a centralized technology strategy that brings them on a single platform, or you have left them distributed?
Yeah, from the very beginning we had single platform. Though it was a homegrown platform earlier, and now recently we have moved to the new platform, which is integrated platform from TCS. Only in October we have gone live to the new platform. From very beginning, we were having the centralized platform, and across the country branches were connected to the data network through the secure network. And anywhere, actually, the way you core banking, anywhere my customer could have approached, anywhere he can see the balance, anywhere he can go and talk to the branch and deposit the money. The entire business model, right from the origination, sanction, collection, everything, it was on the one platform across the country. It was not on different platform we have been working.
Okay, interesting. So you had some advantage of synergy and also
In fact, my
learnings from.
earlier platform was given name as Synergy only.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
Now, Suhas, should I ask a question? Because
Sure, sir.
I know that you have been a very a known technology person, lot of work you have done in digital things and everything. So I would like to ask one question. How would you assess the current situation and trend in technology? Every day, a lot of things are happening. And where we are headed in terms of adoption, what kind of disruption occurred during the recent pandemic and lockdown?
So the one way I can explain is technology has become a core of business now. So when I started about 30 odd years back in technology, technology was enabling business. Then technology started enhancing the business performance, and slowly we are seeing that technology now has become the core. So actually now technology is creating the business, and we have many examples of this outside that we see. The Uber kind of business, or we look at even the OYO housing kind of business, or for that matter, many businesses where technology is the core backbone of the business. So if you remove the technology, the business is not going to work. Many companies, even large companies like GE, pride themselves by saying that they are more of a technology company than a product company. You take a automobile today, it's more of a thousand pieces of code than what we used to call during our engineering days. It's an engine, 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder one. So those days are gone. Technology has become our core, and I can't imagine any business going forward working without technology. In fact, during pandemics, we saw that even the food that we were ordering wasn't possible unless we had a technology to order the food, for order our groceries, or for that matter, anything, simple milk, right? I mean, everything was possible during the pandemic. That's purely because of technology. And you ask the right question, what happened during the pandemic? I know the pandemic was bad. It created a problem for a lot of people. It created a different kind of disruption in human life. At the same time, from the technology perspective, and this is not my view, this is a view of all of the CXOs that I have spoken in our country, even outside the country, that the pandemic actually became the digital enhancer, or it became the catalyst for acceptance of digital technology. Because remember, before pandemic, all of us were taking a lot of time to go to our offices every day morning, sitting in traffic, reaching in the office and then working together. And we suddenly learned sitting at our home and working together. Everybody who was even scared of touching a laptop suddenly started using a laptop. So to that extent, during pandemic, actually it helped enhance our acceptance of the digital technology. So from a CIO's perspective, specifically, I would say many CIOs actually say it was a boon in disguise, because they have been trying people to adopt and accept technology, which was not happening, probably because of our behavioral patterns that we always wanted people in front of us to do a task for us. But then we realized during pandemic that it can still happen by just having the camera in front of us. In fact, right now also we are speaking to each other, right? There's a camera in front of us, but things are happening. So that's the difference happened. That's the acceleration of technology adoption happened during the pandemic.
That's right. That's right. I agree with you.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I know, because when I tell people, common people feel that pandemic created a problem. But for that matter, look at our adoption of digital currency. That increased a lot. Earlier, we were insisting on physical currency. That also went multifold during the pandemic. And rightfully, talking of disruption, during lockdown, how was your business affected? I know initially it might have tanked a little bit, and when it again took over, did you have a challenge because of the lockdowns? Did you adopt some kind of digital technologies there to connect people and make things happen?
Suhas, in our type of business, in a housing loan business, whether it is a mainstream housing or the low income housing, property is one of the important factor. And visit of the property, valuation of property, these are two key things. In case of low income segment, our customers are largely not techno savvy, because they are small people, plumber, I told you, plumber, vegetable vendor and all that, not techno savvy. Their children might be techno savvy, but they are not. Of course, I have seen that 45-50% people were having the smartphone. But when the lockdown was imposed after COVID 1.0 and COVID 2.0, at that point of time, the movement was completely stopped. So then we had, all financial organizations have 3-4 challenges. One, how to ensure that there will be enough liquidity, that is liability available to fund further loans and pay off your own dues. So the Reserve Bank of India and the government have been very kind enough. They brought many non-conventional and conventional measures to provide enough liquidity, so the system should be completely aisled with the money and there should not be any problem. That was one thing. But that has not been a challenge faced by us or any company. Second thing was the new loans. In our cases, in case of mainstream housing finance company, they were able to source the loan through the online application. But in our cases, my staff member or salesperson has to go to the customer to get his application. They can't fill up their own application and deposit. So therefore, my movement of people was stopped because of the lockdown. The sourcing of business was completely stopped. Third was the collection. Collection, we have 95% collection through electronic system, that is NACH. That continued, but of course the people were fearful. They kept money in their account and they did not pay. So RBI came with the moratorium and restructuring and all that. But that helped, because the customers were not allowed to suffer. The companies were not allowed to suffer the collection. But collection gradually, for April was disaster, but May it improved. And from June, when some movement was started, the collection started coming back normal, and by September, October, the entire collection came back to the pre-COVID level. So these things. Now coming to the fourth is the employee. One good thing, as you mentioned, that any crisis brings some new innovation and new ideas. Immediately after the lockdown, we ensured that we connect with people through Zoom, through Team, and we in turn, my staff members were connecting with the customers, because to show them empathy during those times was very important. So my staff, salespeople, were connecting with the customers, advising them how they can pay their EMI without coming to the company. So online payment, these methods available, we gave to the customers, and gradually the adoption through online remittance of EMI started, which was almost hardly 1% earlier. It moved around 15% payment during the lockdown period. That is one thing even the non-techno-savvy customer have started. You will see what I've seen. Even you go to vegetable money, they'll say, I pay our money through Paytm. So that way, the technological adoption was very great. Technology adoption, everybody had, and my entire back office, credit sanctions, we gave laptop to the people. They were working from home, and the business went as usual. But while branches were supposed to be open because there the physical contact was required, but entire sanctioning process and everything we could manage by asking my staff member to be at their home and they could do sanction. So that way we did. I think pandemic has created a lot of enablers among all of us in every walk of life in technology side. Suppose I would like to ask a question now. I have been hearing a lot about digital push, digital enable, and digital drive business. I understand that's the future, but what should companies do to stay above this trend?
Yeah. Mr. Tripathi, the answer that you gave to my previous question just proved what I was saying. The COVID or the pandemic actually enhanced the digital adoption, and that was seen in your business also. I mean, traditionally, the business where you had to be physically present for meeting people and giving out a loan, and also for collection. I mean, we saw that the digital push helped you. What needs to happen going forward? I think the thing should start right from the CEO's level. So, as CEOs, we spend some amount of time always thinking about the future direction of the company, right? I mean, we close our eyes and keep envisioning, what different areas I should enter into. What is the new service that I can offer? Because I know the operations is going on. There are people who are looking at operations. So I think going forward, what needs to happen that every CEO, I have to remember that at least 50% of more of that thinking has to be understanding digital. Understanding what digital can offer to our business. Understanding how digital we could leverage and use for our business purpose. Because traditionally, the way we have seen is we had limited set of competitors for our business, and they all used to look and feel like us. Some were bigger, some were smaller, but they were all playing with the same Lego blocks that you and me playing. But now, because of digital, there could be somebody sitting in some garage somewhere trying to disrupt us completely. So what we should do, I mean, as CEOs, as companies, is look for those digital signals, which could be the disruptions of tomorrow. So typically there have been examples. If I see from technology space, there were four brilliant guys in IBM who bought in an idea of ERP. IBM didn't look at it. These four guys separated, started SAP, and then the revolution happened. And we have tremendous number of examples across industry like that where somebody came with a brilliant idea. The management probably in their dominant theory that everything is going right, ignored that. And we have examples of Kodak, Blockbuster, and many other businesses, who didn't think that this is going to disrupt me, or we feel, oh, that's just 1% of the business. Is that going to trouble me? We have to watch those spaces carefully. We have to spend our energies in doing some kind of tryouts, some kind of experimentations in those areas. Maybe invest and fail cheap, but don't ignore those signals. I would say the CEO should now spend more time than spending with the senior folks of the company. He should spend or she should spend more time with the junior folks of the company, the youngsters. What ideas they are coming up with, what's happening in their world. Because there are many things that are not possible to be done using our years kind of technology. Those are possible using the new mobile. So they are bringing in something from gamification. They are bringing in something from a very excellent peer-to-peer networking which is happening. When I look at the youngsters, when I look at my kids, we need to understand this because these are our new ideas. These are our new things. And if we give more attention to these youngsters, to the new digital technologies which are coming in, I think we will be able to make sense of that digital into our business. Because the only way things will go from here is you have to have more than 50% of digital as part of your business. And those companies who will do this successfully will survive. And I'm using the word survive. There was a time when digital was required for a differentiating factor. It's no more. It has become your survival factor. So if you are non-digital native, if you're not digital, your company is simply going to become extinct after some point of time. So to that extent, I would say digital has become important in the businesses life. So, Mr. Tripathi, I mean, coming back to your business, in order to create an infrastructure for your kind of business, 300 odd branches, 12,000 odd people that you talked about. So, create infrastructure that is more or less frictionless or contactless, and to comply with the norms and also to fasten the process, you also need to have a digital native approach. And I'm sure you mentioned some facts, you're doing certain things. To enable that, cloud computing is the way to go forward, because you already mentioned you are on a central node, but only a cloud can make this thing happen for you. So in order to be fast, responsive, agile, as well as having that scalability, going from 0 to 100 quickly, or expanding, increasing your. So how's Aadhar preparing for this next phase of customer centricity, and are you also using the software as a service model on the cloud?
I will reply digital and this cloud computing in two parts. We have already moved to the private cloud 2 years back. We have already moved, but it's a hybrid we are using. We have already put our servers in the cloud providers, and we have taken the cloud services of cloud providers also. As you use the word, the scalability is important. The cloud computing has enormous ability. So it is not the choice of anybody else not to move to the cloud. We have already done it. Our entire processing, data network, everything happens from there, and it is completely frictionless. Gradually, as our requirement keeps on coming, because our agreement is such that we will keep on increasing the cloud capacity, and we can utilize that on the rent basis. But that is one thing we have been doing. Coming to digital, I absolutely agree what you have said. It is an unstoppable trend. Whether you do or die, if you have to stay afloat in the business, you have to go for digital. And as a senior management, as a CEO, we already keep on having discussion that how we can quickly move to the digitalization. My entire back office activities are digitalized. Logically, one should first digitalize the front office activity, customer facing. We should realize what my customer needs. Then we should go back office. But tendency is among the companies that they go for the quick wins. So now we are in second phase of digitalizing the front office. Why we have not done the first phase, the customer facing activity? Because my customer will still take some time to digital adoption. They are gradually moving. In next 2-3 years, probably everybody will be adopting it. So we have already hired a data science and digital chief officer, and he is working on that. What is going to happen in our segment in next 2-3 years' time, we are already on this. And probably by the time my customer adoption will increase, we will be gradually becoming a completely digital company, not on the front side, but on the back side both.
Excellent, excellent. And in fact, I know many companies who took that approach of digitizing their front end. Actually, what was happening was promises were happening to the customers, but the fulfillment was not happening because the back end was not digitized. And I think you're done the reverse way, and I'm sure your customers must be finding benefits.
In fact, all old records which were not digitized in the process of digitization, we are completely on that one.
Finally, Mr. Tripathi, I know you're a finance person all along your life. So the most important question, the vitamin M that comes into picture, So economics of technology. So if I may ask, in terms of the return on technology investment, specifically in terms of cloud computing, which I know looks lucrative in the beginning, but as time passes, you realize that yes, you're spending more money into it. So what's your opinion on the returns that you're getting from the investment that you have made on cloud?
If I talk to my company, right now I told you from last 2 years we have done it. Cloud computing, as we have experienced, the cost which we are going to incur, I think the savings and the benefit will always overweigh the cost. It is not that the cost is important, because whatever scalability you get, whatever the benefit you get, whether in case of infrastructure cost reduction, whether operational risk mitigation, whether in saving of the premises, and everything, whatever the entire host of services you get from the cloud, these are enormous. For a small company, micro company, or mid-level company, or large company, I think cloud computing is going to be the big gainer. It may in the beginning, a small company may get benefit in the beginning itself, because they will have a software as a service, they will get the platform as a service, and I think a data as a service, that is more important, because huge data you can only do through the cloud. You cannot have the huge data mining and everything by having your own cloud. Unless you go to the private cloud, you cannot do that. You cannot be cost effective. But much more important is that the way obsolescence of technology is happening. Today something comes after 1 year, it becomes obsolete. So this thing you cannot meet out from your own cost. Your capital cost will keep on going up. So what we personally feel that the cloud and cloud computing, they have expert of every field, and they keep on changing their as per the requirement of the environment. As an innovation is coming, they will adopt. So I think innovation as service will be much cheaper for us than any other thing. So I personally believe that cloud computing is going to much beneficial in terms of the savings, in terms of the headache, which we will focus more on business then. Instead of having a big technology team, and even then we have to outsource something, it will not sense. So I think old theme you have to go that if outsourcing can give you more benefit, you should do. But do with proper security, do with proper understanding, and that way we are trying to develop that my team members should understand what they are outsourcing, what they are not. As regard the larger companies are concerned, I have some. I do not know what they will do, because very large company probably they may find their own hosting everything in their own premises may be better. But gradually, as we are moving, the cloud computing is going to be beneficial, and we are absolutely moving on that. That's why I told you whatever the servers we have kept with our service provider. Rest of services we are taking on the rent. As my business in peak time moving up, I take their services. When business reduces in peak time and in the lean time, I don't have to pay to them. So I think the flexible payment, innovation, data as a service, all those things are going to pay a lot of dividend if we or any other company decide to go for cloud.
Very interesting. I mean, the way things would happen in future is, yes, cloud will continue. The trend will continue. Companies, large, small, or medium, they will go on cloud. However, certain things will happen from customer perspective, that we will also see emergence of edge computing, which will more bringing some sort of compute power closer to the scene of action, because you would need to service certain customers faster. So though cloud will remain, clouds will not go anywhere. To an extent, micro edge and on-premise edge would also come into picture, because we'll realize that the appetite or the expectation of the customer is wanting things faster. That's just going to increase. That's not going to.
So that's the reason we are using the hybrid model. We are perfectly in a hybrid model, so that wherever we get advantage, we do that. I think you have rightly put forth that customer expectations, sometimes you have to look into that, and for that your own innovation, your own things have to continue.
Yeah. And I like the part that you talked about innovation as a service, and I'm personally happy because my company's tagline that we have taken is innovation-led transformation, and there's no better kind of justification that I'm hearing from you, that companies like yourself would also be ready to look at innovation as a service, and that's the right thing to do, because the one who's expert in that field, we should make and get advantage of what they can do in that particular field, and we concentrate more on our core competency and continue to do our business. Mr. Tripathi, thank you very much. I mean, I personally learned a lot about.
No, it's my pleasure to interact with you, Suhas. It's my pleasure always, because as a business person, I always try to get more and more things from people like you who are expert in our field.
Oh, thank you. What I like more is being in a field of servicing people who cannot afford to get loans from the established sources of funds like the banks and all. So you guys are actually supporting a larger chunk of the population in this country who are looking to have a roof on their head. And while doing that, you also not kept that business, because I visited your office and I saw that it looks more like a software company than a bank or than somebody giving loans. So that's something appreciable. So you have kept that angle of going with the new while servicing to somebody who's underprivileged, or who cannot kind of get loan from normal mode of business. So it's a good synergy or good sangam of doing a good thing for the customers, at the same time using digital, using technology for the benefit. So I wish all the good luck for your
Yeah,
company.
thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.